Mrs. Howell's students were lucky enough to meet with Broadway's Andre Jordan, currently on Broadway in Diana, a true musical story, and starring in the Queen's Project. Here is Andre's journey to success.
No cell phones on the floor! Go. Ash. I was born April 23rd, 1987. I'm just kidding. We're not going that far back. So, like, you know, I had done drama since, like, plays middle school. Like, that was the first time that I did, like, a show. But, you know, I've been singing in, like, choirs my whole life and in church choir and school choir. So after high school, I went to AMDA, which is the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in New York City. And that's like a 4-semester conservatory program. Really just gives you like the nuts and bolts of like auditioning, how to break down a song, how to act a song, you know, intense, really fast dance classes, your own vocal coaching, that kind of thing, but very, very quick. So I was there for a year. I had started a week after I graduated high school. Like literally, I graduated on Thursday. I was in New York the next Thursday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just because I was ready to start in the summer, and I was just like, you know, for me, why not? Like, let's just get there and let's get this going. So I went to AMDA that was a full year that I did, so summer through the summer. And then at the end of that last semester, I actually left early because I had booked a show, my first show in Pennsylvania, AIDA, at the Media Theater in Pennsylvania. So I left school to do that because they have, in the program, they kind of want you to, they want you to not audition until your last semester, because your last semester is really where you learn like audition techniques and things like that. So once we got to our 4th semester and our class schedule changed from daytime to nighttime, because now you can audition in the day, I started doing that. And it was maybe like, I may have done like 50 or so auditions in like the first month, which is crazy for the summer because it's usually pretty like barren, but I was non-equity at the time, so there were a lot more jobs available. So I left school to do that. And then pretty much that was fall of 2006. I can say from 2006 to fall till now that I have had a job booked doing a show or contract I've had at least 2 contracts per year since I've left school, which like I wasn't really able to like see until I like took a step back in this time and like looked at my resume and realized how quickly all that kind of happened and how fast that all happened. But how blessed I really was to not only get those jobs, but like to get out there. Like I said, like 50 auditions out of my first month, and I booked one. That was one thing that I got. I didn't book like 3 things and turn one down. You know, I only got one thing. So that was that. And then I came back to the city, and my next kind of big thing was I worked on a cruise ship. I worked on Disney Cruise Line, and I was in the first cast of Toy Story the Musical, which was a lot of fun. My first time making a brand new show, and to do it with Disney, where money is not an option and the production value is crazy. Like everything was very, very big. So that was like the next kind of big thing I did. And then I worked, right after that, I went to Hong Kong Disneyland and worked in their Lion King show. Played Simba there, and then I came back, and then I started doing I did like a couple regional shows. I did Rent in Pennsylvania, the Dutch Apple. G came and saw that, our drama teacher. And then I started that after Rent was like the real snowball. Like that's when I got my first tour, which was Legally Blonde. And then as soon as Legally Blonde was over, I auditioned. When that tour was over, I got back to the city, auditioned for Shrek the Musical, and then I booked that. And then that was my next year. And then really everything just kind of snowballed after that. You know, I booked other tours. I started to get regional work. I got my equity card, which opened a lot more doors for me. And then I just stayed on that steady, like working at all the different regional houses in the world, in the States. And by regional, I mean like different theaters in different parts of the country. Like Florida has a lot of theater down there, a lot of big houses where a lot of the, you know, if you're not on Broadway, you work in these places in your off time because they've been open for years, and the talent they get to come through those places is really incredible. I've worked at Sacramento Music Circus, which is the big regional theater out in California. I've worked at Riverside Theater in Florida, which has had a lot of legends come through there. They've been open for years. And then Diana kind of started happening. And that audition process was very long. I might have auditioned for them at least 10 times. They saw me at least 10 times, 10 or 11 times over 5 months. So like this way, come back, leave, come back, 2 months off, come back. So yeah, now I'm here and yeah.
And on Broadway. And so
On Broadway.
tell us, like for especially like our younger kids, what Diana is
How
about.
old is everyone? How old are the like?
We have middle school here, so
Middle
6th,
school.
7th, and 8th grade, about
Gotcha.
12 on average.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Tell me your question again because I was thinking.
So like, what is Diana about?
Oh, sure. So Diana, it's crazy to think that none of these kids were alive when she was alive or dead. So the Diana True Musical Story is basically about the reign of Princess Diana in that time when she's in the family. So the first time we meet her is when she meets the prince and like what their kind of story was right in meeting each other. And then it's really just about the marriage and how hard that really was for her, how hard being thrust into the spotlight was really hard for her, and how she found her niche in that and like where she could really do the most good. Which when you think about it, is like that is her legacy is doing good and healing, which is major. Like she would have been a healer no matter what, but the fact that like the universe put her in this place of power to make her this huge voice at a time where we really needed a voice there. And so the whole production of stories from the first time that they meet each other up until when she passes, and really the theme of the show is about changing the world and doing good when you're not necessarily always in the environment to do that, and just sticking to yourself and spreading love. Like she just always wanted a family and love and support, and she just knew that her power was in listening. Like she knew that was like I know that my superpower is being funny. Like I know I can make people laugh. She knew that she had the capability of zoning in and listening and taking someone in and making them really feel heard, and how that ripple effect affected her country and everyone else and even the times. So that's pretty much what the show is about in terms of like where it happens in her life.
That's awesome. And what do you play? What is your character or characters?
Characters, yes. So I'm in Diana, and pretty much the way our show works out, so you have the 4 leads, which is Diana, Prince Charles, Camilla, who was Prince Charles's mistress at the time, and the Queen. So you have those 4 main leads, and they play themselves throughout. And then the rest of the ensemble plays all different types of characters. So we're the paparazzi that follows Diana. We make up the different groups of people that she goes out to see and visit and everything like that. So I'm a bunch of characters throughout, but my feature as I play Colin Trimming, who is Prince Charles's security officer. So he's a real life person. So a lot of those real people are in this show. So that's my also main feature, which is great because I love dancing and I get to dance a lot, but I miss out on a lot of dance numbers because I get to just say lines and sing songs. So like that's totally cool with me too. Like I get to do everything in the show, which is great. Like I get to really push myself on like every level.
And I think that's so important. Like we come from a middle school setting where our drama department has 40 to 70 students, so everyone has like smaller parts. So I think when you go see something on Broadway, you don't realize that the cast is, 12, 15 people.
Yes.
And that all of these 12 people are playing dozens of roles.
When you see it and it's happening, there's so many like with the wig change, people don't really, that's something I didn't really even know about until I got into the business, like how everyone wears wigs on Broadway. Everyone, like I don't wear wigs, but mostly like if you're watching and you see ladies, you're like, oh, I didn't know that's her. That is her. Oh yes, because all that kind of stuff happens and you don't really get that for your brain. But I've always said that training to be in an ensemble is very important, just as training to be a lead is. Like, sure, you have to learn how to carry a show, but you also have to know how to like fill out a show. And everyone is important in terms of the storytelling in any show. But what makes it more fun, I think, is when like the ensemble really gets to just play.
Oh, 100%.
Different people, because that keeps that so exciting. And the better director you have and the better material you have, just the more fun it is, because you just know going in that like it's going to be different every time, and that you can you're always creating. They're always creating.
Yeah, That's awesome. So I want to know what is like your most memorable experience in your entire career so far? Like maybe someone you've met or something you've done or out of the box or whatever it is. What do you think, like if you had to go back and look in your career, what is like, so glad I did that, totally changed my life,
Oh
love
wow.
it.
Well, there's a few of those moments, really. Like there have been like a lot of like awesome aha, this is where you're supposed to be kind of moments. One that like really still sticks out to me was in high school we did Footloose with um, oh gosh, Oakcrest. Oakcrest was the school that we did the summer shows with,
Oh
correct?
my,
Yes. It almost just like left my brain.
still
Uh,
remember the that's that.
so like that Footloose,
Pick
I
it
remember
up and do it right now.
oh my gosh, I wish I could remember any of that stuff. Uh, and I remember like, you know, the vocal track the part that I had in that, you know, I would listen to like the album every day and work on the dances. But like the part that I remember that was my part that I sang along to, I always remember thinking like, gosh, I can really, really sing. Kind of sounds like me, so cool. Years later, I'm on the Joseph tour with directed and choreographed by Andy Blankenbuehler, and I had just joined them, and we're maybe in like our third or fourth city, and the guy who played our Simeon, he sang Canaan Days. So Canaan Days. He was always next to me in the dressing room because that's where we just always lined up that way. And we're talking about shows, and Paul's been on Broadway since the ninth. I think he was in the original Grease. I think that was maybe his debut, but he's been on Broadway for years. And then he casually just brings up Footloose and how he was in Footloose and shows all these pictures. And I was like, who are you in Footloose? And then he says the name and my head explodes because I'm like, Paul, I have been listening to your voice for years. Like as a kid, I can still remember being in my house and like turning up the music and just going over choreography and singing and belting out along with you. It's your voice. He's like, yeah. And now I'm traveling with you. Like I'm getting to know you. Like that was like,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I couldn't really wrap my head around that like at all.
It is because you don't know who's on you don't really pay
No,
attention to who's on those.
you don't think about that. You're just like, oh, that guy's great. He thinks you think of like the leads and whatever, like, or even Footloose. Like I just remember loving the show, but I haven't really like re-listened to it or anything. But like in high school, that show was so much fun, and that album was so great. It blew my mind. Like that was a really like moment. Like I could not express to anyone in the room at that moment how cool that was for me. But that was like, are you kidding? Yeah.
That's awesome. I have a personal favorite, even though I didn't see you in it, but I can just envision what you are like. So I'm going to give you my answer after your answer, of course.
Okay.
What is your favorite character that you have played?
I know what you're going to say. You're going to say Donkey? You're going to say Donkey.
Yeah,
It's probably
of
Donkey.
course.
Yeah, it's Donkey. It's definitely Donkey.
Like,
For sure.
I just feel like that just was you. Like it just, when you got it, you know, like of course I follow you on Facebook and things like that and just, you know, have been watching. And when you did Joseph, that's when I was like, oh my God, he's going to make it. He's going to go all the way. That was my trigger moment for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's going to make it. But then when I saw you playing Donkey, and I was like, that's it. He just all the time, forever. Because I feel like it fits you so well.
Donkey did really change the game for me. Like the first time I was right after Legally Blonde, so I'm 24, very young. So like my first tour is just finished. And that year, a lot of tours were going non-equity. Young Frankenstein was going out the next year, Shrek, In the Heights. So those were like the three big ones. And everyone was like, you know, you got to get in these shows. And of course, at that time, not being in the union still is hard now, but like, you know, there's so many people. So like, I remember those auditions back from Legally Blonde. Thank goodness I had like a little bit of oomph behind me because, you know, you're up every day, getting there at 7 to sign up and then running around and then trying to get back and be the best you can while waiting around or whatever. And the Shrek process was like, you know, I went in and I sang and I had my heart set on so many other things. I was not even really thinking about Shrek, but I knew I had to go in for it because like, I think I could maybe understudy Donkey. Like that was my thought. I was like, I can be the ensemble of this because I just come from the ensemble. I've never been a lead professionally before. So my mindset wasn't necessarily that like, not that I could do it, but like it didn't even cross my mind because I had never had it before. And then I just started getting like callbacks in the room. was clicking with me, and it just like when it's like a good audition and there's like a time when you know you're gonna get it, and it's just like when everything is just going too easily. You know what I mean? Like, because auditions are very rough. You prepare so much material, you keep going in, you do the same stuff, they give you notes, every time you go in again, you meet new people. So it's hard to keep that fresh in your mind because you're so, you're always thinking about like, well, is this the last one? Do they care? Like, what's happening? But that last day, it was me and two other donkeys, who I know very well. They're still
That's so
working
funny.
constantly. Like, one had booked something else that year. I think he went on Priscilla, and the other one just booked the South Pacific tour. So all of us booked something that summer, that year, but that was like, for us, that little less time. And I can still remember I had like done that audition last day, went to the beach the next day, spent the whole day on the beach, and then like on the bus back to my apartment, I got the call that I was gonna be Donkey. And that was major. And I've gotten to play the role 3 times since.
I know.
When
That's
I was 25, again when I was like 28, and then like 30, and then 31. Yeah, so like over my adult life, he has always been there, like when I needed him to like remind me to like laugh and be cool and everything's fine. And like at the end of the day, Andre, you can do this role and you love to do this role, and it makes you happy and it makes other people happy. Yeah. So now I'm at this place where I feel like I could direct Shrek.
Right, you've done it so much.
Yeah.
When you play like the donkey over and over, and especially with different traveling shows, right? So different companies,
Totally.
do you feel like you have to really prepare or change the way that you express donkey?
So like the first time through, the mindset was like, okay, or what I had prepared and what they liked was like, I was gonna, I'll do this a little, mostly like Eddie Murphy, so people can like, in my voice from, when they hear me, they'll be reminiscent of it. Because a lot of people, that's always the first thing with Donkey. Like, this role is classically Eddie's. The first thing people think of, whether or not you want them to compare you, they're going to. So my mindset at that time was like, okay, well, I'll really mimic his voice, but like everything else is going to be me. And then after like, since then, it's kind of stayed a little bit, but I've been able to just work more of me into it and let Eddie kind of like go off to the side. So it's kind of in there to like remind me, of where it started, but like it's totally grown and changed. And all my Shreks and Fionas have been different every time too. So like I don't ever want to make them feel like this is my show, you're going to do it my way because I know what works, because I don't, because everyone's different. And every time I do it with different people, everyone's funny. Like, they always take that consideration too. Like, Fiona has to be very funny too. And Shrek has to be a funny in a straight man kind of way. So they all bring different things to it, which excites me because I know it's going to be different. Like, there's no way that it can't be. I'm a bad actor if I just plow through and do what I want to do and don't take in what's happening, because then
Yeah,
the show feels crazy.
that's great advice too. That's awesome. Who is like the most challenging character that you've had to get ready for or prepare for? Whether it be like physical challenging, like, your voice range going somewhere different, or just mentally challenging because it's something that you've not done before.
Yeah. Pretty recently, actually, I was at the Riverside Theater in Florida doing Smokey Joe's Cafe, which I don't know if it's a review show. And I had auditioned for the show a few times. It's a great, easy show. It's great music to sing. It's all a review. So like, you just really get to like sing the songs and like act them a little bit. I was nervous about booking this role because it's like, it was the higher tenor part, and I just got so much in my head about like not being able to do that. You're a little older now, so your body changes, your voice changes when you get older. And I've never really had to be like soulful and vulnerable ever. I've always been like making people laugh or dressing up like an animal or doing something, but to be like really open and connect was different for me. So I got to sing the song I Who Have Nothing, which is this like huge ballad at the very end of the show. Pour your heart out. Everyone knows it's coming. So I had to work through that in my head to just not sound like anyone else, to sound like me, find myself in this, because if the director and the music director have like trusted me enough to give me the job, then clearly what I did in the audition worked. So I don't have to do anything more than that. Like, yeah, play within what I've done and like make choices and take chances. But like the fact that I got it means that I'm enough, you know, and that I'm worthy and I've done it. That was so challenging because like every rehearsal, new things coming up emotionally that I wasn't really prepared for, because I've never had to just stand there and be for that many people, or to do that kind of thing. So I would say that for sure.
Cool. I do want to talk really quickly about your web series.
Oh yes,
I have some of my media students on here as well. So lots of YouTubers, lots of people that want to be YouTubers. Tell us a little bit about, you do a web series called The Queen's Project. Right. Tell us a little bit about how you even got involved in doing something like that.
Sure. So the writer and creator of The Queen's Project, his name is Ken Arpino. He also plays the lead character Ash in the series. Him and I were on the Legally Blonde tour together. And we were the two lovers in the show, essentially. And we actually made a web series on tour called Skrelt, which if the term is screaming and belting, and it's pretty much just like a take on like the Scream franchise. So like someone's killing all the cast members and you actually heard us. So we made this together. Like we wrote it, we filmed it, we did it, we took it over like the course of like our time on the road, because we had a lot of time. Like once the show starts and you're on the road, you're just on the bus, you're in the hotel, you're doing the show, you're back on the bus, you're doing, you know. So to kind of like fill out our time, we made this 8-episode, it's probably like 2 hours something long series, which we loved, which was a lot of work, but it was great to like have done it. And then Ken and I talked about doing other things once this was over. And Ken is a great writer. Ken knows how to like sit down, flesh out some characters, he just knows how to like structure a story. I don't know how to do that. I know how to like take something and like elevate it. I can make this really funny, but to really sit and write jokes is not my jam. Not something, I don't know if it really is. I never really pushed myself to do it. I usually kind of like try and think it's too hard. But so over the next couple of years, you know, he started writing like little scripts and stuff like that. And the first couple of episodes of The Queen's Project were just short episodes that Ken did. I was on tour at the time. So I was like, we were talking about different ideas and stuff like that. And then eventually he was like, listen, I feel like I can do this now. I'm going to get this one episode out the way. Tell me what you think, whatever. So the first season of The Queen's Project was kind of filmed over a while, maybe a year and a half or so. And then once that really kicked off and got a lot of great reception and great views, he started to do season 2, which I was then available to be a part of. I did co-write one episode of season 2 with him, which was great because then I got to be in that scene. Which by co-wrote, I mean like, I just wrote out literally like a page and a half of just funny things. Because the concept of that episode that I wrote was the character is looking for a new roommate, but he auditions them like an audition. So I was like, oh, I know how to do this. I know what auditions done. So that's kind of how I got to be a part of that. And then we did season 2 and we filmed that. And then we did a Kickstarter for season 3, filmed all of that. And in terms of like what I do for the show, I'm the first person that Ken comes to after he's written the script, just because like we really get each other's comedy, we vibe. I could read something and let him know like, okay, I could not get through the whole thing without laughing, or like this was great, but why did you tweak that? I liked that before. So in terms of a sounding board of the fluidity of the show, that's kind of where I come in. But like technical stuff and the writing and all that, that's pretty much Ken. And BJ, who also is the character in the show. He's also one of our executive producers, but he's fantastic with editing and things like that. So before we were able to get like a team and a crew and people to pay us to do it, it was all being done by Ken and BJ.
Oh, that's awesome.
All the editing, all that stuff.
It's his baby.
Yeah, hell yeah, for sure.
Awesome. I'm going to ask you, I want to open it up to anybody that wants to ask any questions to you. Sure. But I'm just going to ask you one more to throw it out there for my students for any advice that you give. I have a couple out there I know wants to be actresses and actors when they get older. So any advice to them that you think is best?
Oh, gosh. The best advice I could give would be what I knew before I left and just jumped into it. And that would be, G was trying to prepare me for the competition, but I wasn't really understanding that that's what he was preparing me for. I remember my last, 1776 was the last show that we did my senior year. And I had just put off what song, I was like, what song are you gonna sing? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm a singer, so I don't really have to try, and I'll just sing something. And I sang something that was great. And I remember after the audition, he was like, you sounded great, but I could tell that you weren't really trying. And you need to know that when you get out there, you have to show up 100% every time, because it's just this here. But when you get out there, there's going to be hundreds more people that aren't maybe not even more talented than you, but are more prepared than you showed up to today. Preparation meets preparedness. Always, always, always show up ready. Just do your homework. And if you love the work, it doesn't feel like it's work. But you've got to do the work before you step into that room. Anything to just to ease your mind. You know what I mean? I've only just now in the past 3 years have started going into my auditions with every single time without my script. They don't have to. It's your audition. You want to go in, have the music, have the lines, whatever makes you more comfortable. But to show up saying that I care about this enough to have done the work to show you that I'm excited and ready for this, that speaks volumes to anyone. Even, that speaks to me as an actor. That kind of respect will follow you. And that's really what you want your reputation to be. Because your work will speak for itself, period. You know what I mean? And if the worst thing that someone can say about you is that you show up ready every day, that's what it is, But yeah, you owe it to your talent. You owe it to your talent and to yourself to do your homework. Treat yourself like the star that you are. Stars put in the work. No. That's what I have to say, for sure.
Very cool. All right. So if you would like to ask Andre a question, you can unmute yourself and you can go ahead and ask him a question. Do I have anybody out there?
Sean
so
the Bomb.
Are you famous?
Well, it depends on what you would consider fame. Do you know who I was before this?
No offense, I've never heard of you.
Okay. Well, you've heard of me, then I guess you could say that I was famous.
Anybody else?
Well, then again, but we just moved here.
Oh, well, welcome.
So,
Braylon.
are you able to do a donkey voice too?
I knew this was good. I should prepare something. Because every time someone says it to me, I'm always I wish I could just tell you a scene or a script. You know what? I'm gonna keep talking about this. I'm just gonna look up donkey lines, and I'm gonna pick one, and then I'm gonna say it. Donkey lines from Shrek the Musical. Also, if anyone, Shrek the Musical is available on Netflix. Not me in it, but if you want to ever watch the show, you totally
do the line about having layers.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you.
My favorite line.
Because I need to. Yes, layers, onions.
Onions.
Have layers. Okay, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna pull it up. Well, wow, it's actually right there. Onions, ogres are like onions. Okay. Ogres are like onions. Oh, you want that place? No, give me the full thing. No. Everyone, I'm so sorry, but I will get this.
Well, this is cool because we get to see an actor preparing.
Right. Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Here we go. I got it. Okay. All right. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to give you Shrek's line before, and then I'm going to go into mine. Okay? I'm reading this here. So Shrek says, I don't care what everyone likes. Ogres not like parfaits. And then Donkey says, you know what else everybody likes? Parfaits. Ooh, have you ever met a person you say, hey, let's get some parfaits? And they say, heck no, I don't like no parfaits. No, because parfaits are delicious.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Thank you. That's my favorite line. About parfaits.
Favorite part of the show. Oh, it's so good.
That's so funny. We have time for about one more question.
Spot on.
Braylon, I know you raised your hand. What is your question, my dear?
So,
Wow.
how do you deal with the pressure of doing only one take, trying not to mess up?
Okay, so like in like recording like the Queen's Project, you know, especially if like what I've found in a comedy, time is money. Of course, you want to make sure you get things done in the right amount of time because the longer takes take, the more your money spent. But if it's a comedy, the fun is the laugh that happens, like the natural stuff. So like I don't ever try to think, let me get through this first take and just get it out the way. Even though you run through the takes, you rehearse them with the camera moves and everything before you actually take it. But when it comes to actually being in the moment and just seeing what happens, I try to play that as in theater where I'm not conscious of the cameras, where I'm just playing those kinds of things in moments. And if like laughter happens, sometimes like that's where magic happens. You know what I mean? As long as everyone's still in it and knows their lines and the pace is there, you know, chemistry can kind of flow and you could end up with something that was unintentional. You know what I mean? Not necessarily because you stuck, you know, to it. But that's also because I know everyone there. You know, it's a different story if you show up to set and you don't know a director and you don't really have any lines and you start doing your own thing, you know. but if you're there and you're present and you're just like having fun with it, it doesn't feel like there's that much pressure because it feels relaxed. I'm with my friends. The script is funny. Let's just have a good time.
Awesome. Andre, thank you so much for doing this. I love you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you, everybody, for coming and questions.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
And have a great day and stay busy.
Sorry, Sean had one more question. I think Sean did one was
Oh, not a question. I just want to say, like, I think it's really nice that you're passionate about your work.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. I have loved doing this for as long as I can remember, like forever and ever and always. And it's really a downer right now to know that I'm not able to do what I just love to do. It really hurts, but you know, this is only for now. This is only for now. And if I waited 15 years to make it to Broadway, I can wait a few more months.
I'm working to be a vet.
We're gonna be a vet. As long as you love what you're doing and you're passionate about it, just keep doing it. Things will only get better. Promise.
Thanks.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys, thank you.